What's up, everybody? It's TheGoal60. It's February the 24th, 2018, as we're just a little over a month away from the beginning of baseball season on March the 29th. I'm going to release this video and also one other video that will be talking about each of the two systems that I'll be using this season. This first of the two videos is talking about the revenge system that I used the last two seasons. Last year's results are on TheGoal60.com under the baseball tab if you'd like to check those out. So the basic form of this system was actually floating around the internet, and it still is, for a very long time. I actually took it when I found it a few years back and started back testing all the way back to 5 seasons, and it did work very well. But then I started adding my own parameters to it and trying to refine the system, and it has continuously gotten better and better. I even did a few adjustments from last season that I'll go over later on in the video. So the results that I found in 2016 and 2017 combined for 45-2. Now later on I'll explain that the 2 losses were a little more significant than what you believe in that record. But overall, as you can tell, it's been a very well received and very profitable system for us. So if you like what you've heard so far, before I get into the ins and outs of how this system works, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel and also share this video. It'll definitely be appreciated by me as we get more and more views. This summer I will be uploading a video every single day, so you don't want to miss out on that. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the parameters that make this system work. So what we're looking at here ultimately is professional athletes playing a specific team, getting swept 3 games in a row in a series, and then the next time that these two teams meet, the team that was swept will be looking for revenge out on the team that did the sweeping. The key component of that statement is that a team was actually swept 3 games in a row. Now, this can be a traditional 3-game series, or this can be a 4-game series where the team actually lost the last 3 games in a row. So ultimately, we can't be looking at 2-game series, and we can't be thinking about teams that were swept or beaten 3 games in a row from 2 combined series. So the next parameter, and maybe the most important parameter of this entire system, and really of both of my systems that I use, is what they call RPI, so Relative Power Index. So if you're not familiar with the RPI system, it is easy to find just by Googling. It's updated daily, and pretty much what it does is it's measuring a team and how well they are, or how good they are as a team and how they play, versus off of what they've done and who they've played. And the teams that they've played and beaten, what those teams' overall record is combined. So now let's talk about the present series. So in the previous series when these two teams met, Team A was swept all 3 games by Team B. Now on this series, the first day of the series, we look at the RPI. If Team A is no more than 15 points below Team B, or if Team A is any amount above Team B, then we're looking at this to be a play. Another very important parameter to this system that involves RPI is the fact that we will never be taking a team that is in the bottom 3 or going against a team that is in the top 3. Obviously, those teams that are in the top 3 are very strong, so you don't want to bet against them. And on the other side of things, you don't want to put your money on a team that is in the bottom 3 of the league. So this is very obvious, and it is very important to our success, because we will find a lot of times that a team in the bottom 3, obviously has been swept several times by other teams. So it will come up, but just keep in mind during the season that we never want to put money on a bad team. Really, it doesn't matter to us if it's a home or away. In baseball, the home field advantage is nowhere near what it is in football or even other sports like hockey or even basketball. In baseball, with so many games being played each season, playing away, it's more about rhythm. It's how a team is doing day to day versus if it's home or away. If a team is batting very well, chances are that they're going to continue to bat very well, at least for the short time. Versus if a team is winning a lot of games at home, that doesn't necessarily mean anything for the rest of the season. They could easily start losing a lot of games at home as well. Alright, so once we've met all of the parameters so far, the next thing we look at is the price. The main reason is this is a chase system. So in game one, if our team is the favorite, we don't want to go over minus 150 in the money line. If our team is the dog, we don't want to go over minus 150 in the run line. So what that is, if you're not familiar with how baseball is bet, you're betting on who's winning the game with the money line. So if you're the favorite, you may have to put up, say, minus 125, which means you'd have to put up $1.25 to win $1. Now that's within the minus 150, so we're good to go there. On the other side of things, if we're the underdog, we're taking the run line. That means we're getting a plus 1.5 runs. So we don't have to necessarily win the game, but we've got to stay within a run in order to win our bet. So we obviously don't want to do, minus 150 or above minus 150 on that as well. And finally, the last parameter that I have for this system, after all this I've already talked about, is a very simple one. The last two seasons, as I've stated before, we went 45-2. So the two losses we had meant that we lost games 1, 2, and 3. And it being a chase system, that means that it's more than just 3 units. It was, somewhere around 10 to 12 units. So it is a pretty big hit when you have a loss, but as you can tell, they're few and far between. The only thing is, over the last 2 seasons that I followed this, the only team that has lost each of those has been the Detroit Tigers. So the next parameter was actually added this year that I will not be taking the Tigers ever again. So if you're a Tigers fan and that offends you, oh well. This is a chase system. So what that means is for game one, part of the reason that we have the parameter about the minus 150 on the price is that looking for game 2 and game 3, obviously if we win game 1, we're finished with that series. If we lose game 1, that means that in game 2 we have to bet to win everything that we lost from game 1 plus what we originally were out to win. So the 1 unit that we wanted to win in game 1 actually goes on that. So game 2, you may be betting enough to win, say, minus 2.5 units or something like that. So therefore, if it happens again, you have to do the same thing for game 3, where you're betting to win everything you lost from games 1 and 2, plus what you originally set out to win. So obviously, in a chase system, you want to have several units as a bankroll, just because you've got to go through these peaks and valleys. Now, with that being said, with the chase system, I advise you to maybe have somewhere around 20 units or more in your bankroll. So what I'm saying there is, if you're going to be following this system on a regular basis, you're going to want to have 20 times what you are looking to win in one single game. So if it's $5, you're going to want to have $100 to back up and not be touching unless you have to. That's just for those, you're never going to have a game where you're putting up 20 units. But you may very well have a game where you're putting up 6 to 7 units. And then if you take those 6 to 7 units and add those to the games 1 and 2, where you have 1.5 to 2 units, and then 2.5 to 4 units or so, something in that area, you can add up in a hurry. And we're going to be playing a lot of games, so just keep that in mind. You want to have enough to make it through those valleys, and I promise you, you will come out on the other side ahead. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the fact that if you were with me last year, you know this already, but this is not something that works the entire season. The reason for that is that middle of August on, you have teams that are doing well, they're in contention for the playoffs, and they're going to continue to play well. You also have teams that may have got swept and may have, be on our radar, but are starting to tank because they're not going to the playoffs. They don't have really anything to play for except maybe bringing up some younger players, getting them some experience, and it's just too volatile for us to be looking at and trying to put money on. So the season will actually go from the start, which is March the 29th, through the middle of August, which is what I've actually looked down the calendar, looks to be about August the 19th. So just keep that in mind. This is not a full season, not the full baseball season, but when I talk about a season, I'm talking from the start to the middle of August. So the last thing I'm going to say is I really appreciate you guys watching. I know it takes time out of your day to watch these videos, but I promise if you follow this, you will be successful. And I will be uploading the second system that I'll be using in another video like I talked about at the start. I will link that in the description below once that is uploaded. It may be a couple days before it does get uploaded to my channel. But make sure you subscribe and like these videos, and make sure you hit the bell when you subscribe. That way you get all the content. This summer, I'll be having a video every single day. It'll be short, 2 to 3 minutes, but it will be one every single day talking about the next day's plays. So you don't want to miss out on that. That's an easy way to keep up with everything. And also check out TheGoal60.com. I know I've referenced that a few times in this video. And also, if you would like to have any conversations about games or the way things are going or anything, hit me up on Twitter at TheGoal60. I appreciate your time, and see you next time. Thanks.
60% of the time, it works every time.